Hey everyone, welcome to the Grind Together podcast. We're the Grinders. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Matt. And on this podcast, we want to create opportunities for growth through real conversation.
Let's go.
Okay, guys, welcome back. We are here with some of our favorite people and people that we've had the chance to work with, Alice and Wyatt Tagg. And we are so excited because we get to know a little bit more about them. And we get to do this new little thing where we bring on just real people.
Yeah.
And hear their stories and kind of the ups and downs of marriage, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And life in general. So
thank you guys for being here.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
No problem. My pleasure.
Is your first time on a podcast?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay, big
Well,
deep
good.
breaths is not a big
We're
deal.
podcast virgins.
It's actually funny to tell you a story. We literally just got done with a coaching session, right?
Yeah.
Like they hired us and trusted us to help them through some stuff in their relationship. And I was like, hey, do you guys want to record with us? And Wyatt was like, yes.
Wyatt's like, yes. And Alice was like,
That's
wait,
I'm like, I've been
what?
thinking about it for the last week.
Good. Wait, have you actually though?
I've been thinking about it for like the last 3 days. It's been like in my mind, like, it'd be fun to do a podcast with them. Maybe they'll ask us, but like,
Yeah.
I didn't like actually think of anything of it, but like, it was kind of funny.
Hey, I
that
love it.
Actually happened.
I'm so glad we made it into the fancy guest list.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Wait, why though? Why would you want to be on the podcast though? I'm curious.
I like to talk. I mean, I think that you guys do a great job of like talking about how you guys feel and like conversing with everything that could help other people and, you know, just being real. And that's something that I like to do with just like my daily life. And so I like to do it publicly too. It'd be more
There
fun,
you
you know,
go.
just a little couple people, but
That's
more
awesome.
people. So it'd be fun.
That's amazing. Well, like one of our biggest things that we always say is your mess is your message. And it's something that I know we both truly believe in. And so let's like jump into it and tell everybody who you guys are, like your story, who you are as individuals. You can share as much or as little as you want, but let the people know who you are.
You can start.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Alice. Wyatt and I have been married for about 2 years, which you guys know, but for those who don't, that's like in the church thing. For those who don't know me.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we've been married for about 2 years. I was born and raised in Brazil. Wyatt served his mission in Brazil. And then that's about like kind of the gist of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have a way cooler story than that.
Oh.
Like, did you guys meet on, you didn't meet her on your mission, did you?
No, I
No.
didn't. So I
No.
came back home from my mission, and then I went pretty much straight to UVU. I'm from Colorado, grew up there, and I came here to UVU, not just to, you know, find a wife, because Utah's a place to find a wife, I guess, or Idaho. But I didn't want to go to BYU. I wanted to go to UVU because I wanted to do their aviation program there.
Yeah.
Didn't end up doing that, but still in aviation. But I was going to Institute, and one of my old friends from EFY met me there, and I saw her, and she was rooming with Alice at the time, and so she got me on Be Real, and so like kind of Alice and I kind of met on Be Real, because
Oh,
the next
fun.
day her friend posted them making this Brazilian treat called brigadeiro. It's like this chocolate sweet condensed milk ball,
Ooh. Okay.
and it's really,
I've never
really
had
good.
one of those. That
We'll
sounds
have
good.
we'll have to bring some
No,
next
you
time.
will. That sounds so good.
That'll be like our session snack.
Yeah, Alice makes them really good. But
They're really simple.
so I asked if I could have some, and so that's kind of how we started. And then Alice,
So simple. That's cool.
Literally on Be Real, he goes, can I get some of those? And I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And so she brought it over to him the next time they had Institute together. And then we never really we didn't meet from that, but we messaged for a really long time. And Wyatt was like way fresh off the mission. And so he thought that dates couldn't only happen on Saturday or Friday. So he
Actually?
goes,
because those are like my P days, because like I had school during the week, I had
Oh,
work during the
funny.
week.
so I was like, are we going to go out? And man goes, I can't for the next 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, busy much. Okay, whatever. But within those 2 weeks, decided to serve a mission. So I had started all my paperwork. And then he finally reached out back again. He goes, okay, are you ready for that date? And I was like, sure, we can go walk my dog. At that point, I was like, I'm going on a mission. I don't have any interest in dating anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took my dog to this park. And
Yeah.
then the next day I was like, oh, you know, he just got here. He's probably so lonely. It was a Sunday. And I was like, he doesn't have family. I'm going to invite him over to play games with my family. And so I said, hey, you want to come play games with my family? And he goes,
The very next day, she invites me to go meet her whole family.
Really?
And so, like, I'm sitting in my dorm room, like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like,
he literally said no.
I did say no.
Did you actually? Wow.
I said no.
That's amazing.
And she's like, she was like, why don't you want to come? Like, it's everybody speaks Portuguese. It'd be great. It's fine. We're just having like fun, and it's not like only family. My cousin's friends are here, so it's like his birthday party. So it'd be weird if you're there.
Yeah.
I made that up.
Yeah.
She just really wanted to hang out with you.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
It was his birthday, but there were no friends. So
Yeah.
it was only a half lie. And then
okay.
we saw each other every day after that.
She asked me to pick her up from, what do you call it?
FHE.
FHE.
Okay,
Yeah.
family
Family
Day.
home evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I would like to leave. Can you come get me?
Mm-hmm.
But he was actively flirting with someone else at the time.
I was at my own FHE. I wasn't
Yeah.
flirting with anybody.
He was going to take a girl rock climbing.
Yeah.
I was gonna.
Anyways, just kidding. And then I ended up still like putting in my papers, got my call, and then we got engaged, and I left on my mission engaged.
Well, the funny
So-
thing is, so I served my mission in Brazil, like
Yeah.
you said. Served in Utah since the COVID, and then I went to Brazil. And so it was like kind of funny that I served in her home country, because when she got her call, we were already dating, and we decided to get engaged too. But she got her call to Colorado.
Yeah.
The mission, like just south of where I live, there's a mission where I live, and then the mission just south of that is where she served. So it was like
That is
super
cool.
funny.
That
It's
is
not
really
So
cool
my
at all
mission was
either.
like 20 minutes from like the beginning of my mission was like 20 minutes from his parents' house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So you went on your mission. You're engaged.
Yeah. He so funny enough, with like visas and documentations and things like that, since I'm from Brazil, it was that I couldn't fly out to my mission. I had to drive.
Oh.
So my parents picked me up from the MTC, Wyatt in the car, and we drove out and we stayed the night at his parents.
Yeah.
And then they dropped me off at the mission office, and my mission president goes, wow, these are your parents. Who are those people? And I was like, oh, my future in-laws, and that's my fiance. And my mission president probably had like whiplash. She was probably sitting there like,
What are you
what is
doing?
going
Yeah.
on?
What are you doing?
Because like that's pretty. Like when I remember when I heard that part of your guys' story, I was like, wait, hold on. You went engaged, like a secret. Like that was my dream to happen with Matt. Like totally 100% would have like loved for him to have proposed to me before he left on his mission.
Right.
Instead, he just was like, if you're here when I get home, then like great. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that information? But that was like my dream. But like that's not very common. Like a lot of times people are like, oh, I'll wait for you or whatever. But there's not the commitment of like, no, like we're literally engaged and I'm gonna go out and do this. And I remember asking you like, well, why did you go, right? And you were like, well, because I said I was going to and I made a decision. And now knowing you, that's so you being like, no, like I said I was going to, so like I'm going. And like
Yeah.
there's nothing weird about it. And I'm like, I love that so much because it's so you. You're just so like, nope, I'm gonna do it. This is what I decided. I don't care if it's not traditional. This is how it's gonna happen. So it's like the whiplash probably was very like real because
Very
he was
real,
probably
yeah.
like, wait, what did you just say?
True.
But I think that in a way, like not to encourage like people obviously like do what they will, it made it easier in my head because we didn't have that limbo. Like you guys were like in this weird limbo, like who's doing what, and you had to be worried. I was like, Wyatt and I are engaged. I'm gonna do my mission. He's gonna do gosh knows what at home. But there's like even a stronger commitment. So I feel like a lot was lifted. Like I didn't feel worried about him at home. Like I don't think that was like a concern at all. And like I also could go through the mission or whatever like amount that I did and not have to worry about like, what about my mission? What if I had gone? What if I, and I didn't feel like I sacrificed. I feel like it was like a really great spot for us to be at because that's not one of our like
I didn't want to like
touch points. Yeah.
It's to that point. Like I didn't want to hold Lauren back from anything either.
Yeah. That makes
right?
sense.
And so I was like, and I also didn't want to get like they call it Dear John. I didn't want to get written off on my mission and be like, hey, I don't want to be with you. I found somebody else. Right. So that was part of our story too. But I love that for you guys. And truthfully, like it makes sense. But did you serve the whole 18 months?
No. So I served about 3 months.
Yeah.
I had like started thinking like I loved the mission. I was having a great time. Like I was in downtown Denver. Everything was always go, go, go. Like we were like rolling the windows down to hear people fight on the street. Like I was just like having the time of my life. I was in a trio. We like were getting along really well. And then I just had this weird feeling. I was like, I don't know. Like I just feel like I'm supposed to go home.
Yeah.
Like I came, I saw, I like love it. It was not even like I was upset or I missed Wyatt. It was just like I feel like I need to be home. And I'm stubborn, like we were talking about, and I was like, no, I'm already out here. Like, it's just like anyone can do anything for 6 months. And I was like, after 6 months, there's only 6 more months, and then 6 more months. So I was just gonna take it like 6 months at a time. And so I had voiced my missing president. I was like, I'm thinking about maybe like going home. And then the day that I called them and I said, I'm not going home. I'm staying. Like, I got really, really bad kidney stones, and then I was hospitalized.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Okay.
Wow.
yeah, it was really crazy. And so I was hospitalized for about 2 weeks, and Wyatt's parents were able to like come and like take care of me. Like, they like came and picked me up from the mission home after I got out of the hospital, because I had to stay in Colorado for a little bit. And then I did my last appointment, and then I came back to Utah. So
Wow.
yeah, crazy.
Body was screaming at you that you needed to be somewhere else. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Okay, and then you come back and you guys get married, or what happens?
pretty much. Yeah, a week after she got home, we got married. We were civilly married, and then since my brother was serving his mission in Idaho, not in Idaho, wow, Iowa City Mission.
He's currently in Idaho, so
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
but he was serving in Iowa, and he was pretty close to Nauvoo Temple, just like right next to the same area.
Yeah.
And so we decided to fly out her parents, my parents, and my grandparents and her sister out to the Nauvoo Temple, and we got married there and sealed.
Amazing.
So yeah, then we had since it was so quick, like all her family from Brazil wasn't able to come, and so we had another wedding. So it's kind of like a running joke in her family, and my family, I guess, that we've had like 4 weddings in the span of
Yeah.
like 6 months. So that was kind of funny.
just kept
but,
getting married.
yeah.
There was something you actually kind of inspired me. I don't know if you know that. We had a conversation one time about like our culture and getting married and the pressure and all of that, and like something that you said to me that was like it took all of like the like in the LDS culture, for like people that listen that aren't part of it, is like a lot of times in LDS culture, like we wait until marriage to have sex until and it's so funny because we actually have a bad review on our podcast that says like, I loved you guys until I heard that you waited until marriage to have sex with each other. And then I was like, wait, they're so unrelatable, which made me laugh. And they gave us 1 star. And I'm like, so if you're listening to this, go give us more reviews so that 1 star goes away. But it was so interesting because I had never thought about the pressure behind that, like our culture and like, because I also have felt the same way, right? Like I also felt the same way when we got married of, we get married and then all of a sudden I can have sex and all of a sudden like we can do this and it's okay, right? And it took like the fun romantic part of it of like me seeing like the movies that I grew up watching and like all of these things, right? All of a sudden it was just like okay. And I remember like my honeymoon night was full of anxiety, full of like, what does this look like? Like we've shared this before, like Matt came out naked and I was like, whoa, like this is how this goes down. Like what? Like I've never fully seen you 100% naked. This is insane. Like those kind of things. You know what I mean? And like all of a sudden it's okay. And like, I think there's a lot of pressure on women specifically that like guys are just kind of like, woohoo, like this is awesome. But like, I feel like women in that culture in general, or in any kind of culture where like that's normal, it's so daunting. And it's like, it makes it not fun. And it's like, no, I didn't like it took away like a fun thing, like a special moment kind of. And like I remember when we talked about that, I was like, wait, Alice just taught me something, because like I didn't know that's how I felt about my honeymoon night. Like yeah, it was great and it was awesome, but like there was this like weird connection piece that was missing for me, that like until we talked about it, it didn't light bulb in my head of like, wait, this is maybe why I've had these feelings towards like intimacy in my marriage for as long as I have. So thank you for teaching me that first off. But like it was so interesting, like especially coming from, oh, we have all of these things, these check boxes, right? And this, like, whatever culture it is, right? Like any religious culture has that, like that piece of purity and like, hey, save yourself till marriage and all of that, right? But it's like, there's a lot of pressure in it. And I only bring it up because I can't tell you how many people we talk to that is the case of like, something's just off in this part of my marriage, or here for me personally as a woman. And like, it wasn't until you brought that up that I was really like, and it comes up a lot for me where I'm like, wait, remember when Alice said this super cool thing like in one of our sessions? And I'm like, wait, like that's why I have felt like some of the ways that I have felt towards like my relationship. So thank you for teaching me something so cool. But I felt like I needed to say that because I know so many people struggle with that. Even like 10 years into their marriage, they're like, oh, there was like something. And it's not that it wasn't great. And it's not that I don't love it, but like there's something that like just didn't click for me. And like for me, it was hearing you say like there was so much pressure and like I just was expected to do this. And I was like, wait, I also felt that way. Holy crap. This is so interesting. So anyways, I told you we weren't going to talk about sex.
No,
so we don't
you're
have to go
fine.
into that. But
no, it's just for me, what I like, like what you expressed is completely right. I just feel like it wasn't that natural buildup.
yes.
Because like it would have happened, maybe it would have happened sooner, maybe it wouldn't have, but it would have happened because like we were both in love and ready for it to happen. But it felt like it had more like of a deadline than anything else. But
Oh, and
makes sense,
I
yeah.
love that
Yeah.
though. I love that analogy of realizing like, oh wait, it's not that I don't love you. It was that it's that deadline. It's that expectation. It's like, and then we carry that into our marriage of all these expectations that we have for each other. And then it gets so interesting because it's like, wait, hold on. We actually started this literally the day we got married. Like this expectation of what this should look like and what this is. We start that so early on. And I don't think it was till you said that of like, it was a deadline and it wasn't like this big buildup of like this romantic in love thing. It was like, you're getting married and tonight you can have sex. And it was like, wait, hold on. I can just do it because like you said I could. Like there was no buildup to it. And I love that. So, thank you for being so wise because I needed to hear that. But I think a lot of people need to hear that and going forward in their relationship of expectations in general for both sides, right? So, I was a little bit of a tangent, but
It was, but that's okay.
I
I liked it.
I literally have thought about it so much lately. So,
oh,
I don't know.
yeah.
I'm glad that we're doing this so that I can share it with people.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You guys go back to like your love story too. Like this is how we met. This is where we like what brought us here, right? And it's cool because you guys come from like different parts of the world too, right? And you're trying to conjoin all of this, and we always say nothing starts when you got married. Like all of our past programming happens before, right? But yeah, like keep walking us through because we know that you guys, because people, we get married and then we fall into like job, school, rinse and repeat, right? You guys have a dog too, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, tell us about some of like the stuff that you guys like, because clearly you come to coach with us for a reason, right? And everybody goes through ups and downs in their relationships. But I mean, what has been some of the most beneficial things that you guys have seen as far as like actually connecting on this level after being married and gone through some crap in your relationship?
I think what got us kind of started on therapy in general was like when we were looking for therapy was because I had an addiction to pornography, and so we were trying to figure out how we could better our relationship, even though my addiction didn't have anything to do with how Alice was acting at all. It was hard for her to take that in and like see our relationship the same.
Yeah.
And so we were looking at therapy, and then we actually, Alice on Instagram found you guys, and then you guys were doing like this raffle of like a free session. And so we got a free session with you guys, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm like ready for that, even though I was the one advocating for therapy or whatever. But
because it's hard to talk about it, huh?
it is. It's
Yeah,
it's hard to get started.
Well, and you came to us originally and you had done some you had done some therapy. You had done like some programs and some things like that you loved, and
Yeah.
you found like a ton of success in those.
Yeah, no, I went to. It's not Alcoholics Anonymous,
Yeah.
but it's also run by the church. Like, it's for people who are addicted to pornography and stuff.
Yeah.
And so they can go there and, follow the 12-step program of trying to, continue building up to a better life and not being addicted to that.
Yeah.
And so that was successful and for a long time. And then we started meeting with you, and it was just kind of like a complete 180 from that program, because it was a lot more about like the program was like about the addiction and like getting rid of the addiction out of your life.
Yeah.
I feel like your guys' sessions helped me more realize that like it was getting me out of pornography. It was like getting my mindset out of, that's not who I am. Don't be stuck in it. Don't be tied down to something that's not you, and just be your true authentic self. I think that's what what struck me the most with how you guys started your sessions with us was the whole you create your own world thing. You're the creator of your own world. It's like I make my world, and my mind, my body, my soul makes up who I want to be and what I'm going to make around me. And then tying into making a relationship, we have our separate worlds, but like staying true to what our world wants, and like, but then also being so happy for like everything else that our partner's world wants too. And so over the course of all of that, I mean, I think that it's really changed our relationship, and I would recommend any session with you guys, 100% with
You're sweet.
anybody I meet. Cause I'm not even just like, if you're having problems in your relationship, but essentially like, especially since we got married so young, like I was 21, she was 19.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were 19.
Yeah, she was 19.
Just a baby.
Dang, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I remember looking at like the relationships I'm really close with, you know, like the relationship my parents have, the relationships that her parents have with each other, and just seeing like, I want to get to that point, you know, like not be fighting, not be, you know, frustrated about like the little things like finances or like jobs or future, or, you know, I just want to be focused on the happy dandy stuff, right? And you still have to deal with that, but finding a way to communicate in the best way and express ourselves in the best way was really, you know, inspired and like led by you guys a lot, because I feel like our relationship is a lot more, I don't know, we work together as one, as we're working on our own, on ourselves more, instead of, you know, coming together first and saying like, we're going to do this together. We're going to sacrifice these things. Instead, we are saying like, I'm doing this, you're doing that. Let's figure out how we can do this part together now.
That's
You know,
cool.
kind of just
That's
like
beautiful.
still putting ourselves first, but like making sure that our relationship is our second most important priority. So I think that's
That
in a
was
summary.
not my question, but that
I'm
was
sorry.
very cool. And no, don't say sorry at all. Like, first of all, we even getting you guys to do the podcast with us, we put you on the spot. Right?
We did. We were literally like, you want to do this today?
Yeah.
On the spot.
But that was so beautiful and vulnerable, and I did not expect you to go there if you didn't want to, but thank you so much, because the thing is that same with me, like as I shared my story, as Lauren shared her story, it actually sets you free from the judgment of it, right? And I think, is that why you shared?
I mean, it's like,
Because we didn't plan for you to do that, which was awesome though.
it was how you said it. It's like freeing yourself from judgment, and it's freeing yourself from your own judgment. Because that was really what, like, because I knew my parents didn't judge me. In the end, I knew Alice didn't judge me. I knew that God didn't judge me.
Yeah.
And I knew that everybody else didn't judge me either. I mean, they didn't know. But I knew that I still judged myself.
Yeah.
And so it's freeing yourself from that, because most addiction programs are, you know, centered on, you know, getting yourself out of that addiction and knowing that people don't judge you, and like knowing that other outside forces don't judge you, and so you don't need to be judged about yourself. So we don't talk a lot about like, oh, it makes sense for you not to be judging yourself because nobody else is judging you. Or at least that's how I felt. And what was helpful was with you guys, I was able to focus a lot more about how to fix the judgment I was placing upon myself.
Wow.
And so
I think that, yeah, one of the like most beautiful takeaways like from coaching so far that I have is like the self-centered part, the like what do
Being selfish.
Being
yeah,
selfish.
being selfish,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I think I agree. Like I thought that being selfish was like a bad word coming into this and things like that, but what Wyatt's saying, like when it comes to like his addiction, like he needed to find the root, but he didn't need to find a root for everybody else, or like why people wouldn't judge him, or how that's common, or how that's likely, and how 95% of men, or whatever the statistic is. He needed to find it him. He needed to find his reasoning and why, and like with everything in life, like we need to find our purpose. And I really like that you just are able to like bring us into this space where we can think solely in our own terms.
Yeah.
And like thinking in our own terms has like been super, super powerful. And I think that that's like super important when like going through anything in life, really. Now, like that's something that I see. I need to think about my end goal before I can move on from anything.
That's legit. That's amazing.
I'm just over here on
I
a
know,
high
I'm
over
getting
here.
emotional,
I'm like, okay.
Okay, well, all right. So that was a whole 180. That was amazing though. Like,
What was your question then?
no, my question was kind of what Alice answered. And I think,
Okay.
but the reason I love that you shared that, by the way, because that's the reason you guys were sitting in our chair, right? Like you had tried to get help somewhere else and like it was working, but essentially you just wanted something different, right?
Yeah, I didn't know how much more could be unlocked.
Right.
And you guys opened me up that.
I do remember the first time you came and sat. You were super quiet, and you were very like. It took a little bit to like get you to talk, and then slowly but surely, every time we would meet with you, you would talk a little bit more and a little bit more,
Well,
and
it's
we were
because
like,
with
Wyatt,
porn-
yay! Like
with-
you're here, and like
Yeah.
it's so like amazing. It's been so amazing to watch you like be who I know you really are all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's just like there was a moment there where you had, I believe, so much shame and guilt around it that, like you were saying, no one else was judging you, but you were judging yourself so bad that it was like, like I can't even be me. I can't talk. Like no one wants to. Like, it was almost like you were hiding. Like don't look at me, don't see me because of the shame there. But it was like no, like you're an amazing person, and that's been so fun to uncover. You both are incredible, and we always say like, you guys are so young. And we're always like, oh, and you're so wise that like you're doing this now instead of waiting literally like until shit gets real bad. And you're like, hold on, like to where we were like, oh my gosh, do we want to be together? And we got 3 kids together. And it's like, wait, hold on. Is this really what we want? Do you know what I mean? Like you kind of started like right when things started to get a little muddy, which is so cool to me.
Well, the thing is that like when you guys first sat down, right, we came in thinking that everything was about porn, right? But we opened that up really quick to say that that's not even like that's like the most surface level thing.
Yeah, that's
and then we
just
get to
the
start to
effect.
dig. Yep,
Yeah.
we get to start to dig deeper. And the thing is that we talk about addiction, and I love that you were like the other programs just focus on the addiction, right? The word addiction has like this massive negative connotation for me because I believe that addiction, I think it's just choice. Like we're just choosing things for ourselves. And then when somebody tells me that I'm addicted to something, then I actually take that on as my belief, right? But that was just a choice that we had made. Like God gave us this agency at the beginning of this world, if you're Christian and believe in that deity, right? Because he just wanted you to choose for yourself. And I think that that's like a big thing for anybody that's going through any type of addiction, whether it be like drugs, porn, sex, whatever it is that like you're making that choice and you have the decision to choose something different, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to talk about a little bit about like from Alice's perspective, when you guys did come sit down, right? And we're like, hold on, yeah, he's got his stuff to work on, but we also want to look and focus on the female side of this interaction, right? How did that feel? Because I know it's not super comfortable at first, right?
Yeah. I think at first, like when like Lauren originally, like she challenged me to like think about like my insecurities because I wouldn't get, I won't say angry. I would leave and I'd be like, they can't just excuse Wyatt and tell me that how I'm feeling. Because one time,
That's what it felt like we were doing, right?
very early on, we had this argument over this, and he goes, yeah, but you need to change how you feel. And I was like, but you need to not do that thing because that thing is bad. Like, this has nothing to do with me. And then we would sit down in the session, you guys would say the same thing, and Wyatt would be like, see, that's what they
God.
said. And I'm like, I'm going to murder all of you, 3 of you all together. But I have like learned like to accept that that's very real, and like with like our conversation about like what we choose to wear and things like that, not to go too much in detail about that, but that has changed like how I feel myself, and that has allowed me to like step into a more like, I feel more comfortable in my body. And I feel like that is super important, like as you're going through like anything like that with like your significant other, to like, even when Wyatt would say like things like, oh, and that he said that today, he said, and it didn't have to do with Alice, like at first I'd be like, okay, but that doesn't make any sense. But as we've
It had
like
everything to do with you in your head, right?
in my head, yeah, but as we've like talked about it, even when he says that, it doesn't make me uncomfortable anymore. It doesn't make me go into like a mindset of like, okay, that's a lie. It doesn't like light anything up for me anymore. That's just like a statement, and it's real, and everything that comes after that is just like, I feel like it's, yeah. So I feel like I feel a lot more comfortable in like who I am. So, but you're right. It is an uncomfortable spot at first because you're thinking, okay, that doesn't make any sense because it's like this physical thing. But
I remember when we started on this like similar journey years and years ago, and I felt the same exact way where like we sat across from someone and she was like, I felt like she just excused, and I needed to just be okay with it, and I needed to just accept it, and like I was gonna have to change, or I needed to not be in the relationship. And I was like, screw you. Like, this is not okay. Like, this is a two-sided thing. Like, he caused the problem. This is on him. Do you know what I mean? And I remember being in that same exact position and being so angry. And it's so funny because for me, it was like little by little, it was like all of a sudden something just like clicked in my brain where I was like, wait. Like you just said, it isn't about me. And I don't know for me, actually I do know for me, it came with listening to so much of the backstory, and then realizing like, and I think that's why I probably challenged your insecurities or the things that like were coming up for you. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a reason why there's anger. There's a reason why like you're upset about something, right? And we like to say like, oh, at least coming from experience, oh, it's about my partner. But it was like, no, wait, I knew, and there always will be, even down to this day when I get upset with Matt, I'm like, there's something about my world that I'm not doing. Like, I'm not achieving some desire, or I'm not like proud of where I'm at because I'm angry. So I love that you brought that up, because I was in the exact same boat and I wanted to kill our coach for a minute, where I was just like, you don't get to, and Matt like loved her. And I was like, I'm not going back. I hate this. And then it was like, no, I would go back. And then I was like, okay, I see why we're here. And then, but it took me a little bit longer to like jump on board and be like, yeah, I got this, because it was hard to look at myself when the problem didn't seem like my problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I came in at first hoping that you guys would just tell him that he's like this awful person that needed to like do some really big growing and recognize that he just had the most amazing wife. But
which you are.
There's so
Very
much
true,
more.
but
there's so much more, and I feel like that's like something that we would have never touched. Like the other place that like we went to or whatever, he did his thing and I would do my thing. Like it was separate between the men and the women or whatever, and we would discuss, and like all the women in those classes like hated their husbands. Yeah. And I feel like it didn't harbor, like the fact that you guys were so accepting of him helped me realize that like what I needed was to look at myself before I could like not be accepting of him, because that made it a lot easier.
Well, I'll tell you something about you guys. You guys are absolutely like beautiful people. And Alice came in here and reminded me so much of Lauren, because you guys are headstrong and decisive and able to literally move anything you want to and create anything you want to. Like when I talk about you guys being like the women that are going to change the world, I mean it, because that's your personality. And so like when you walked in, I felt that energy from you, Alice. And it was interesting because Wyatt and I were the same. We were like these like shy, bashful, coy people, no offense, but weren't we?
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we got in a relationship with this girl that was just so sure of herself, that was just so positive and so animated and so like just brings life energy. And it was like, oh wait, a lot of the times, truthfully, I felt insecure because I never felt that I could live up to Lauren. Right. And what that would do is it would put me in this like spiral of saying I'm not good enough to even be the man in the relationship. And so I would go down to my vices. Was that kind of, I mean, MO is the same for you, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it rings true for a lot of people in this situation. And it's not fair to the women because you guys are just you, right? But it's so cool to look at this and say like, there are so many men that struggle with addictions in general, that have beautiful partners that are going to teach them something. And that's what I wanted to get to, is the fact that throughout this trajectory of us meeting with you guys, Alice, you have taught Wyatt like how to come out of his shell, right? Am I wrong, Wyatt?
No, you're not wrong at all. I mean, it's true.
But before it probably pissed you the hell off, right?
It did sometimes that like, she was a lot better at the things that I was terrible at. Like, she was bad. She was so much better at the things that I was terrible at. And it's like so true that opposites really do attract, because like, I don't think I would have realized how much she could have taught me if you guys didn't like point it out to me.
Oh, cool.
But, like, as much as I knew in like my back conscious brain that I knew that she was the one for me, and like I wanted somebody that was a go-getter, you know, somebody that was, you know, just on her feet and like intelligent and like in just so many different ways, not just like book smart. I mean, just like life smart. Like, she's just ready just to go and take life by the hold. And I don't think I would have realized that until you guys pointed that out to me. Like, I don't think I would have realized that I needed to soak that in and realize that that's what she's teaching me. That's what she's here to do for me. Like,
and what I love is that he doesn't even have to just love that in me, but because we are in this relationship and I am who I am, he eventually gets to love that in himself. Like, that's something that you guys taught us. I think it's just really, really incredible. It's like your partner isn't where you stop. Your partner is like everything that you can become, in a way. Like, obviously, like, you'll have your own traits and you have like all these like super awesome things about you, and that's why your partner picked you. But what he loves about me doesn't need to be something he loves only about me. It can be something that he'll grow to love about himself, because we get to like pull that out of each other.
Yeah.
So
we always do this exercise. We don't always, but like an exercise that I love doing is and like one of the questions that I like have started to come up with for like our community has been like, what's something that you see in me that I may not see in myself? Or, you know, like there's an exercise that we'll do sometimes with couples, like the greatness that I see in you. And you kind of say like, these are the things I see in you. And it helps the person realize like, wait, I have these qualities, and like, and then it helps the partner be like, wait, no, I also, the reason that I'm attracted to this person is because I actually have all these qualities within myself. I just haven't brought those out yet. Right. So a lot of times when we look at relationships in general, the people that you're drawn to, even friendships and even like relationships with like parents or siblings, like the ones that you're the most drawn to and the ones that you're most attracted to, there's something in that person that attracts you. Like, it can even be like characters in like books or movies. There's a reason why you're attracted to that person. It's because you can see yourself in them, or you can see what you're wanting. And a lot of times we see that and we're like, oh, I don't have that, so they're going to teach me or they're going to give it to me. And I believe that you always have it within you. That person just helps shine that light on whatever it is that you're wanting, and gives you the opportunity to say like, wait, I've had this in me all along. Yeah. No one just like, the light wasn't shown on it for me to say like, holy crap, I actually have that inside, and I am this person. I can embody who this person is. And I love that person just like I love like my partner or my parent or my friend or whatever that is. Like, I have all of that within me. I'm not lacking anywhere. And so like, I love that you brought that up, because that's a huge thing in some relationships. People don't realize. They're always like, oh, my partner's better at this than I am, or oh, they're you know, head that way. And it's like, no, you have that in you, and there's a reason why you're attracted to them, or you're, you know, like you're drawn to that person. So
yeah,
I don't know, that was just like,
no, but that's perfect though. And I think that's what like in your guys' case, right, Alice, you're very like go-getter, headstrong, right? That's what you're going to teach Wyatt. Wyatt is very in his emotions, just like what you said. And that's what attracted like our message to you as well, and probably like what attracted you to Lauren. And that's what he's going to teach you, is how to drop down into your emotions and how to, like, for lack of a better term, like slow down and be present, because that's all he knows how to be, right? But you're like, let's go. And he's like, hey, well, what about now? And so it's like, before you have this realization and this mindset shift, it's like, my partner pisses me off, right? And you almost make, like, I made Lauren the villain. She was the bad guy. She was the reason I was doing everything. Did you feel that way too, Wyatt? Some of the time, probably.
Some of the time. Yeah. I mean, like.
But then Alice is over here saying like, let's go. Come on. Like, get dressed. Let's go. Get out the door. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like a lot of like what I felt like pressure from her was that like when I wasn't telling her about what my problem was, like before I had told her, I felt like I haven't told her. It's her fault that I haven't been able to be open with her, and that I haven't been able to, you know, be communicative with her, even though it's totally my fault. But, you know, I was in that mindset of that she hasn't let me have a space to be open.
And it was her fault.
You know, I was making her out to be the villain, like you said, you know. And so it was very much that I needed to, have a reality check and, figure myself out. But I like the comment that you made a while ago where you said, like, it's not all just, like, rooted in, like, the effect of it. The effect is not where it started. There's so much more behind it. And, like, that's what we found with you guys. And, like, I mean, it's just, like, problems with how you were raised and, like, how just, like, different things that in life happen. And it just affects you. And that's just how you find out.
Yeah, I mean, people call them past traumas, right? Because our traumas are like they stuck, and subconsciously, our body holds on to them, and then our brain is trying to keep us safe from those coming up, and so we act out.
Yeah.
And so I love that, but like we don't know that until you start bringing in like the conscious and subconscious, and we start talking about actually real things and
like how we feel. Yeah.
Maybe we'll meditate, and everything ties back to emotions. So yeah. Right.
How was the emotion stuff for you guys? Like, did you like that? Has it made things easier for you guys? Like, I know for me it was really life-changing, but I'm always curious with couples that we coach, like, how was it implementing the emotions? Like, did it make it easier? Was it harder? Was it frustrating? Like, I don't know. That's a random question, but I'm honestly curious.
Yeah, I feel like it's different. Like, I feel like we still struggle to, like, really think about, like, oh, the emotion or, oh, the this, and that. But I feel like as time has progressed, I do feel like most of our growth has been super recent. I feel like there was a lot of, like, most of our growth that is going to stick. Because I feel like we had growths in sessions, and then we would go right back into our old patterns. Mm-hmm. And then we would have growth, and then we would go right back to our old patterns.
I love that word, yeah.
But I feel like now, like, most recently, like, I don't know, it's the new year, actually. No, just kidding. But I feel like we have, like, been able to hold and stick to things. But the emotion, when you are willing to communicate on that and, like, really sit and think about, I feel this and I feel this because of XYZ, it is the most beneficial and the most efficient thing that you can do. Like, at first, that we would still, like, have, like, you didn't text me and that means you don't love me. Now I can say, I feel, like, distant, or I feel like I feel like I'm lacking something from this, because so what my desire is. And I feel like stepping into that makes it first that your partner is way more successful to understanding what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And it also makes it so what you're saying is actually what you want. Like, everything is more clear instead of just fighting over a text message or fighting over a connection instead,
That's perfect.
Something that I loved that you guys taught us from the very, very beginning was, with your emotion chart, and I'll just, like, give the example of anger, because that's kind of, like, where most of the fights come in, because that's where anger is. Yeah. But how you guys told us was anger is a positive thing. And I was just kind of, like, mind-boggled. I'm like, I don't know if anger is a good thing or not, but you guys live your truth. And but the way you guys taught it was so much different, because we all learn I feel statements. Like, I feel frustrated because of this. Mm-hmm. And, like, you don't say, like, because you did that, it's just because, like, of this is, but you're not giving any more detail, Mm-hmm. Like, you can say, like, oh, I want this from you, or I want you to change this. How you guys taught it was that, where are you feeling right now? Say it's like, I didn't text her during the day, and she's like, I'm mad that you didn't text me during the day. It could just stay at that. Mm-hmm. But how you guys taught us, is like, you're angry. Why are you angry? So drop down one, you go to desire, and that desire, like, what are you desiring from that day? Like, why do you want a text? Or, like, what are you desiring from me? And, she can specify that. And then the next one is pride, is like, what are you feeling? The pride was a hard one for me. Mm-hmm. And so, like, what makes you proud, or what's making you feel prideful about how your actions in that moment, or what could you be proud about from being angry in that situation, so that you can get to a place where you're proud of yourself. It's not just pride in the negative connotation, but also in a positive connotation, where you can be proud and excited to change.
100%.
I love that.
Yeah, the
You did
emotions.
that. You did a good job with that, by the way.
Okay,
Good
I was
job.
like kind of like
Amazing.
No, you
Pulling
did a
it.
good job.
Yeah.
No, you
Lauren
did it.
is
I was
proud
like,
of you.
yay! You grasped the concept because it's hard. It's hard to go and to recognize your emotions. We still on a day to day, like there will be times where we start talking and I'm like, I'm so pissed right now, or like, oh, like I'm overwhelmed. That's always like a word that like I'm just really overwhelmed, and it's like, hold on. So what's my emotion, right? Like if I take overwhelmed, and it's really like dropping in. It's consciously saying like, hold on. Okay, I'm overwhelmed. Like what's going on for me? Oh, well, I'm scared.
Yep.
Most of the time. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm scared. I'm in fear right now. And like, and expressing that and talking where it's like, instead of just being like, I'm scared, I don't know. Or like, I'm pissed off and I don't know, or it's your fault or whatever it is. It's like using the emotions to really figuring out what you're wanting of like, okay, I'm scared. So like, what do I feel guilty about? And what's my desire up above that? That's a really cool space to live in, to say, okay, well, like let's address all of those to really get down to the root cause of what the problem actually is, and then figure out the solution. So
What's incredible is like how much like your body actually knows of that. Like that's something that I didn't understand, because when we first started, you guys would ask us questions like, I have no answers. You're asking way too hard of questions. But now like you ask the question and it's so clear that like like your body knows, your head knows, like, and you just need to like be able like, because I feel like I'm always in fear to communicate that, but I think that the more that you do it, the better it gets and the easier it gets. And then like we've stepped into that place where we talk about alignment all the time now, and like being willing to trust yourself. And I think that that's like really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, and even using it in conversation, like Matt and I had a conversation. We kind of shared this with you guys today. Like we had to have a conversation yesterday, and he was drilling me with questions. Like he's like, just play along. That's what he kept saying. And I'm like, I don't want to play along. Like this is a waste of time. I kept saying that to him, like this is a waste of time. And I was crying and crying and crying because I was trying to figure my stuff out. He kept asking me questions. And I kept saying, I don't know. Like truly, Matt, I don't know. Like when I say there's nothing up here, like there's nothing. Like I don't know. And he was like, no, you do know. Like you just gotta like give it some time, right? And so
it wasn't that. You said there's nothing up here. We were missing.
And he said, I need you to go. Like he said, I need you to go into your body. Like where do you feel it? And I said, my heart, right? And as we like were talking and I could get in my body, I was like, okay, I'm scared, and this is why, and like this is where I'm at, right? And then even having to have the conversation that I had to have, I brought that same emotion into that conversation. I'm like, hey, I'm scared to talk to you about this, and like this is why. And like most of it was fear, and this is like, and using the emotions to like really help with that was a cool thing, because it's like it seems so easy, but it does take a lot of practice and a lot of like conscious decision to say like, okay, no, I'm gonna do this today, instead of being just like the short one sentence answer of like, I'm fine, I'm angry at you, whatever that looks like.
It's so easy. And even you guys, when you guys first sat down, I remember it was so like all of your conversations were just short, right? Because you didn't essentially like, you didn't want to get pissed, or you already were pissed at something, and we didn't know actually how to address that or communicate it. So emotions are really cool, because I believe that they're the only things that are real, and they tie to fucking everything, which is cool. You said one word that I want to talk about before we let you guys go, and it was a pattern. We say cycles, but patterns I actually love, and that's a more therapeutic term for things. So when you can recognize your patterns, even with like addiction or with relationship problems, you'll understand that every time that you go back into the lower parts of your pattern, you now have tools to come back out of it. Right? Yeah. So like, not saying that like it's sunshine and rainbows and like Matt and Lauren coached you to have a perfect life, right? Because our patterns are always the same. When we go back to fighting, it's like, oh wait, shit, we know how to get out of this, right? And so I think the thing is that like every relationship or individual that's on this healing journey or wants to figure themselves out, we always shit on ourselves when we go back down to whatever it was, right? And so I think that a big takeaway for people is that like, even if you are working, like things do get hard still. Yeah. And now I love that you guys have like this bag of tools to be able to work on your relationship and on yourselves. And I'm trying to formulate a question around this, but I think that you guys have done such like a beautiful job of it, because at the very beginning you would realize like, oh crap, this isn't working. But then how did you get out of it? Because you're like, we're just barely actually like going into this stuff now, but like, can you recognize some key things to help you guys get out of those low times in your relationship?
Like the things that you guys have, like what we've learned with you guys.
Even if it
or
wasn't
just
me.
like
Here, hold
what
your-
we do.
yeah. I know that's putting you on the spot. But
No, you're good. I think that like the power of like individualism, that's what's changed everything for me
'Kay.
personally.
Yeah.
Because I remember feeling like I had to text Wyatt 24/7. I had to be with Wyatt 24/7. I had all those things. And I remember thinking like, if that's not there, then why are we even together? And again, the power of individualism. If that's what you want in your relationship, then that's great. But I was not fulfilling something in me by constantly seeking that out. That is not what I needed. That is not what I wanted. Now I feel like a lot of peace in like being at my job. And like we have not texted as often because that's what I want. That's what I feel okay with. I feel a lot of peace in like he plays his video games as his break or whatever, and we can be in the same, like I can be in the living room and I can like, you know, watch my show or whatever it is. But I feel a lot of power in like understanding that like just because it's what society thinks it's correct, or it's what society thinks it's like you're so in love with each other, you want to spend every minute together, doesn't mean that that has to be your narrative.
Yeah.
So that's like what breaks patterns for me, is realizing that like the relationship that I'm having is mine.
Yeah.
And that because usually my patterns are what I fall into. It's not even my real feelings. It's someone else's, or it's
That's cool.
culturally acceptable feelings.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. That was amazing, Alice.
yeah.
I think for me was the emotion chart, and then not just but communicating those emotions.
Yeah.
I feel like me as a person, I suppress a lot of like what I feel.
Yeah.
I don't like to cry in front of people. I don't like to. It's a very private thing.
Hold your mic up a little bit more, dude. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, like my emotions, I don't like to show them out. I like just to show that I'm happy, I'm good, and I'm, present in whatever public setting I am.
Just if I'm happy, then everybody thinks that everything's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Just everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But that also brought in a lot of issues with my relationship with Alice, because I wasn't able to communicate how I felt. I feel like a lot of men struggle with that side of communication. Like that it's okay to, cry. Something that I love, like that Lauren talks about on the podcast. I hear this, like, I think every other podcast or something. It's like, I was crying so much, and I'm just
I know,
I love that.
No, literally. I'm
And,
baby
like,
lately.
being open about that, I think that's what helped me a lot in my relationship with Alice, was that I was able to actually, open myself up and like how I felt and why I felt that. Not just because like she needed to know that, but I needed to know it too, Right. Because like when I actually voiced it, it made it more real. It made it more real to the point where I could actually fix it. I could actually, move past something. I could actually, understand who I am and like why I'm like that. It's giving me more self-awareness and self-worth.
Wow. You guys, that's cool. That's amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for being on this. This has been fun. And
No,
I know
really,
it
it has
fun
been.
too,
Yeah,
and
this
I
is
know
actually
it
a
was
lot of fun.
like, and I love that, like, we even asked Wyatt, and he's like, yeah, I've been wanting to do a podcast. And I was like, dude, heck yeah, let's do it. So, but I think the coolest part about this is that, like, everybody in this world that we live in, like, has their ups and downs. And talking about them is actually what's going to get you out of them. And being able to express is going to help you. The one thing that, and this is like just a plug for us, but like we opened our Together community so people will have somewhere and support, right? Because just like you guys know, and just like we know, we couldn't have done it alone.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so hard to just be like, if somebody knows this about me, what are they going to think or feel, or how are they going to see me? Right. And so,
and it's just so important to get that set of tools. Like I tell and I share all the time, I'm like, any investment that you make in your marriage is the best investment that you're ever going to make. Like I feel like people are always like seeking out.
She is wise.
She's so
like
wise.
they're seeking out like growth in every other thing, and then and looking back and being like, oh, and then that will improve my marriage. But you can't improve your marriage without, sitting down and improving your marriage. So
without actually doing it.
Yeah. So I think that like any investment that you can make in your marriage is super important. And I remember like I would say to Wyatt and I would say to my friends all the time, I was like, we are just so young. And I wish that I had more tools. Like, I wish that I don't have a tool set to be successful in this because, like, you know, you're fresh out of high school. Like, no one's really taught you any of this. So I think, you go back to playing. I think that's great. I think everyone should join it, really. Because people don't understand. I feel like people don't understand. But it's, like, the coolest thing that you can do. It's really, like, I feel like it's changed, like, the coaching sessions have changed my life. And even when, like, we have like the 6-month thing or whatever, when that's up, like whether we continue or not, we'll probably join the community thing because I don't think that I could do this like or continue to be so successful without that.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I think, I mean, like, I was just thinking about this where this is like the easiest bill I pay, you know.
Really?
I don't even notice that I pay this sometimes. It's just like, I think it was the easiest decision I've made in a long time, you know, like going to flight school and then going to school and then
rent
insurance,
it all
car,
hurts.
you know, it all hurts. And like
Yeah.
you notice and you see it come out of your bank account. But, you know, like this was really like the easiest thing for me to do. I mean, even though it was like a little bit harder to start to like get that wrapped around my mind, after that, after that first month, I don't think I've seen like that really affect my financial life because really it comes and goes. But my relationship with Alice is so much more important now because, you know, I've just moved past so much of that I know that this is an important thing. And I would recommend it to anybody, even if they're not struggling with pornography or anything like addiction-wise. If you're just like looking for a better relationship, if you think you already have a great relationship, it can get better.
Wow.
You know.
We didn't ask for that, but thank you. Wow.
Matt's crying
Made me
over
all
here.
emotional.
No, really though, thank you guys. Like, thank you for pouring into us, the confidence that you guys have and the change that you guys have seen. And we needed that because, you know, everyone needs cheerleaders. And so we appreciate you guys. And we truly love you guys. And like, I am so proud of you. I know we said that earlier. We were like, you don't really need this from us, but we are proud of you. And we're proud of like the growth that we've seen because we know it's not easy. Like, the work is freaking hard. And it's so much easier just to be like, nope, let's bypass this. Let's push it to the corner. It doesn't need to be the forefront. Like, we'll figure everything else out and then this will be better. And it's like you guys said, we know, and you guys know that like when you focus on your relationship, everything else just is so much better. So you guys are amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for sharing like all the amazing things that you've learned throughout coaching. It's hard sometimes. We always tell people, it's hard to tell people like what we do because like, you got to experience it a little bit. So it's always nice to hear others' experiences with it, and so that people aren't just like, well, that was your guys' experience. But I feel like as we continually share our stories and our messages and the things that we've gone through in life, it helps everybody. So thank you guys. You guys are amazing.
Okay. We've got our links below to our community and our tags, and we will also, if you want to email us, and if you have any questions for Wyatt and Alice, please send them to me and we will relay them over to them.
Yes.
But guys, thank you for listening and thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week.